Ah, yes, the cooler temps, the leaves changing color, it could only mean one thing, and that is, of course, remote starter season. Today, we're talking with one of the leaders in the segment, Fortin. And have you heard about FD CAN? Well, if you haven't, it's a hot new topic coming down the pipe and something you need to know about. This is CMA Connected, brought to you by SiriusXM, all about Fortin electronics. And it starts now. What's going on, guys, and welcome to another CMA Connected brought to you by SiriusXM. I'm your host, Ben Wu, and you are tuned in to CMA Networks, where we talk mobile electronics day in and day out. Today, we're talking remote starters with Fortin Electronics, a technology based company who's been doing this forever from Montreal, and they've come up with some solutions to address some new and upcoming protocols that installers are going to be seeing sooner rather than later. My guest host today is, of course, JP Raymond, who is the sales manager. JP, welcome again back to the show. What are we going to be discussing on today's Connected?
Hello, Ben. Glad to be here. Today, as you said, remote starter season is getting closer. In fact, I was in the Eastern Townships this weekend and we had two frosts, both Saturday and Sunday morning. So that is telling me that that season is right upon us. So today, I want to talk about our EVO-X-ONE, which is a new platform or a third module in our lineup.
All right, JP, the new EVO-X-ONE from Fortin. We're going to get right into it. But first, an opportunity for our partner, SiriusXM, to remind you why it's always an amazing add-on sale. And when we come back, let's get into the new EVO-X-ONE from Fortin. We'll be right back after the break.
Hey, Paul here with SiriusXM, and I'd like to talk to you about attachment selling and why the SiriusXM product is one of the best things to add, especially since we don't trade dollars with any other category. I could go through all of this, but let's hear what some of our dealers have to say.
It's an easy add-on that takes, 10, 15 minutes if we're running an antenna, 1 minute if we've got an adapter to plug it into the factory SiriusXM antenna, and it's extra money, so no brainer.
I present it to every customer because a lot of customers don't know what all they can do with Sirius. They don't know what all content they could have. It just makes too much sense not to sell it.
It creates a different customer loyalty and customer security when you explain to them why it's a better experience. Just gets them back in the door, and then the next car, they're already asking for it again. So it just keeps selling itself. It makes more sense.
Well, there you have it. You heard from our dealers. Just remember some of the best practices. Make sure you have one on display so you can demo it. Make sure you're taking advantage of our rewards program, because if you're not taking advantage of that, you're leaving even more money on the table. Make sure you got our POP up on display. And other than that, just make sure you're recommending it.
And we're back from the break. JP, welcome again to Connected. Happy to have you here, sir. Now, I seen in the news and in the press releases this new module that you're talking about called the EVO-X-ONE. And from what I understand, we're going to get into all the features and benefits. But the real issue at hand that Fortin is trying to get ahead of, if you will, is something called FD CAN. I'm not really aware of what that is. So let's start with understanding what FD CAN is all about.
In order to understand FD, Ben, we have to go back a little bit. The old CAN bus system that was in vehicles up until the last couple of years was actually designed by Bosch in the 1980s. What people have to understand is that the computer power back in 1980 was certainly it's not what it is today, is basically what I want to say. Now, we are also getting closer to the autonomous vehicle with all the ADAS systems that are being added. So there was a need from the manufacturer to process more information at faster speed than what they could do on an 80s platform. So FD stands for fast data. In other words, they've increased the speed and they've increased the number of bits that we're now processing in vehicles through FD CAN.
Okay. So that, first of all, I learned something there. I did not know that the CAN bus that we talk about every single day has been around for like 30 years. But more
Yes.
importantly, you talk about computing power. Our smartphones today are probably more powerful than the supercomputers of the world 30 years ago, right? So obviously, technology has moved forward. Now, from a technician standpoint, though, when we're working in vehicles that are coming into our bay, what can you tell us? What are some of the vehicles that we may be running into this new FD CAN system?
Well, some of the new vehicles, the first one that came out with FD was actually GM, and they're testing the system in their SUVs and pickup trucks. Mazda is now one that has joined the party with their 3 Series. Audi is also part of the mix now. And of course, we've not seen all the 2026 that are coming out as we speak. So I'm sure we're going to find out some more vehicles that are equipped with FD CAN.
All right. So based on your information, what you just shared with us, JP, there are already vehicles. So that means that shops are going to be limited with the type of options they have that could interface with these vehicles. So this is Fortin trying to get ahead of the game, right? You're trying to get that technology ready because it's inevitable that more and more vehicles are going to be converting over to this FD CAN system.
Absolutely. There's going to be more and more. And one of the things that we've noticed as well is that there was a trend a few years back where manufacturers would put standard remote starters on their vehicle, came from factory. Well, it seems that they're pulling it out. So Mazda 3 no longer has a factory remote starter. And there's also several other Mazda vehicles that don't necessarily have a factory remote starter. We're going to be adding a list this week of Mazda vehicles that don't have factory remote starters anymore, but that are FD that will be able to work with our EVO-X-ONE modules and our TBX key replicator. The list will be complete by the end of this week. This is the week of September 22nd we're talking about, Ben.
Well, I'll tell you what, that's pretty exciting news because my fear was seeing these vehicles actually come more and more equipped with these factory starters. Now you're telling me they won't be, which creates great opportunities for our business, which is a great thing.
Absolutely. I mean, our business is basically based on the fact that we got to keep ahead of technology. And of course, our EVO-X-ONE is the spearhead of that technology right now for us. And again, all modules, including EVO-X-ONE, are all made here in Canada.
Yes, that is a very important fact. I'm happy that you mentioned that, JP. Okay, so now let's get into the nitty gritty, the little details about this new EVO-X-ONE unit, right? So you mentioned this is a third version that is now available. Let's get specific about the EVO-X-ONE. So first and foremost, we already know the EVO-X-ONE is equipped to handle FD CAN. What about installation as far as T-harnesses? Let's start there.
Well, right now, Ben, we have 2 T-harnesses. One is called the GM8, and it comes in a complete kit. So GM8, the TBX key replicator, and our EVO-X-ONE modules. We also have the Mazda 6 harness. Again, comes in a complete kit with TBX key replicator and our EVO-X-ONE module, and that does the Mazda 3 series. There are more vehicles, but you'll need to do them wire by wire. So Audi Q5, the new Q5, which is FD, as well as some more Mazda vehicles. I'm thinking of the CX-90 and a few other models in the Mazda lineup. But those for now are going to be wire to wire. But we are working on T-harnesses as we speak. One of the things we must not forget about T-harnesses is that when we see vehicles, we have to come up with drawings, get samples made so that we can test them. And once the samples are deemed to be good, Ben, that's when, we order T-harnesses.
Yeah, because let's be honest, Fortin has probably arguably one of the biggest selections of T-harnesses for EVO. I mean, it's pretty crazy, the amount of applications that you already have.
I was in the U.S. last week, Ben, doing the trade show, and most dealers there agreed that we had the widest selection of T-harnesses of all.
Very cool.
I mean, T-harnesses in these days and age, when some manufacturers are using aluminum wire, are almost a prerequisite to do an install. I'll take a second to talk about aluminum wires.
Sure.
Number one, why are manufacturers starting to use aluminum wire? Well, price and weight. They want to get the best miles to the gallon when it comes to their vehicles. So it requires twice the size of aluminum, twice the wire gauge, to conduct the same amount of current that a copper wire can carry. However, even at twice the gauge, it doesn't weigh as much as a copper wire. Now, a couple of things about aluminum versus copper is when you're putting two metals together, you're going to create some galvanic oxidation. How to prevent this is by using a product called deoxit. It comes in a small 4-ounce can. It's not cheap, but that's the only way you can do it. Got to remember that all this new CAN FD is new technologies for car dealers. And when you create oxidation on a wire, it increases the impedance. And as the impedance increases, it can create some problem within that vehicle, i.e. triggering some idiot lights in the dash. And again, you'll be blamed. You know how we're blamed the aftermarket, including for a flat tire.
Yep, exactly. It's always because we put a remote starter in, isn't it?
You got it. You got
All
it.
right. That was a great hack, JP. Thank you for sharing that with us. The other question I have for you now, I noticed on the application list that you just provided between the GM and the Mazdas may not apply. But if I know Fortin, I know you guys are always trying to future-proof everything. So what about applications for manual transmission vehicles in the future?
Oh, the EVO-X-ONE does manual just like our EVO-1 does. It's through the yellow loop. So if you cut the yellow loop, you're in mode.
Perfect. So just to be clear, guys, if you're tuning in, this new EVO-X-ONE, yes, it is ready for manual transmission when the application comes about. Okay. How about security? All the other Evo platforms have great options to be able to upgrade that system to a security system. How about the new EVO-X-ONE?
The new EVO-X-ONE can also do security just like an EVO-1 does. Now, one thing not to be confused is the FD EVO-X-ONE is compatible with FD. If you're doing a vehicle that is not FD CAN, that's still our EVO-1 that you've been using for some years now. Security, Ben, it is almost a prerequisite right now in our country as there are more and more vehicle theft. So we made sure that our FSS shock sensor plugs into the EVO-X-ONE.
Perfect. Perfect. Again, the whole theme of future-proof. You got to love that about Fortin products. Another big deal, obviously, you're a big coach when it comes to maximizing the sale, right? So when it comes to the EVO-X-ONE, what about stuff like long-range RF remotes or even telematics, for example?
Well, Ben, we made sure that our X1 was compatible with all our remotes. So the 4 series, the 9 series, and 100% compatible with our telematics. In fact, telematics, if you're doing security, is probably the best way to go, in that your phone would give you notification that your vehicle is being tampered with as your alarm gets triggered. So that way you would know that something happened to your baby.
And that's through the notification settings from the app, basically.
Correct.
All right. So just to recap, we're talking about the new Fortin EVO-X-ONE module, which is specifically designed to handle and tackle the new FD CAN interfaces, which is obviously something that's transitioning right now. There are some limited applications out right now, especially when it comes to T-harnesses. More are on the way. We touched the fact that this will be manual transmission compatible. It is security upgradable. And the RF remotes and telematics capabilities are also built in. What else would you like to say about this new EVO-X-ONE module, JP?
Well, the way I see it, Ben, that's where the future lies. It's going to be an EVO-X-ONE as more and more manufacturers will go in FD as they're trying to get to the autonomous vehicles down the years.
I want to take this opportunity and thank my special guest today, JP Raymond from Fortin, for sharing with us all these great details about the all-new Fortin X-ONE, which will be dealing with and tackling the transition into this new FD CAN bus interface. Now, for more information on this unit and any of the items that we talked about in today's show, I do encourage you to head on over to the official website found at fortin.ca. Now, my takeaway from this is, as usual, first of all, Canadian product, thumbs up to that. But more so is the engineers at Fortin know that it's all about future-proofing their products. They see the trend, they see what's about to happen, and they try to get ahead of it. Why? Because they want to make sure that the installers and the shops that are installing these devices have the upper hand and are ready to equip with whatever customer walks through your door. So whether you're dealing with an older vehicle or, in this case, brand new vehicles, Fortin is a brand that absolutely has your back when it comes to making sure that there's a solution for all of these applications. That's it for this episode of CMA Connected, brought to you by SiriusXM. I'm your host, Ben Wu. Until next time, we connect.